road to several neighborhoods and Oval Beach. And residents say some of the detours are a real hazard, but fixing the road has been difficult because it's on a wetland and because of what's underneath.
We have a number of underground utilities, overhead utilities. We're involved with a number of municipalities and governmental agencies, and we all have to work together on this project.
During construction, the city of Douglas says emergency crews will no longer have access to Ferry Street. They will have to use the detour to respond to emergencies until the road reopens.
6:09 on your Tuesday, still ahead.
2 years after a train derailment spilled toxic material into the landscape, people in Ohio say they feel forgotten. Coming up, the new promises from the White House to finish this necessary cleanup.
Here's our current temperatures around the region. We're actually warmer than they are off to the north and west. We're in the 20s right now. Our high temperatures will make the mid to upper 20s. You can see it's a lot colder to the north and west, but we're going to be looking at some light freezing rain and maybe some light snow coming in here tomorrow. We'll look at more at the timing of that and how much will fall after the break.
Well, we want to get to birthdays. Hey, Abby, happy birthday to you. Nice little leaf you found. Carter, jealous of the warm weather you're enjoying. Haley, 13, happy birthday to you. And we got Macy, 7 years old. Happy birthday. Look at Jackson. He's ready to be a big 4-year-old. Happy birthday, buddy. We hope it's a good one. Khalil is 17 years old. My director's eating an apple next to me. Abby, again, happy 5th birthday to you. If your child has a birthday coming up, send it to us mornings at fox17online.com.
Welcome back, everybody. Taking a look at some of our top stories today, starting with this one. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio says El Salvador has offered to take in any deportees regardless of their nationality or if they are violent criminals. They say that includes the possibility of accepting American citizens if they are deported from the U.S. U.S. officials say there are currently no plans to deport American citizens. A post by El Salvador's president says the country will only take in convicted criminals for a fee to help make its prison system sustainable.
National Association of Letter Carriers says its members did not accept a tentative contract agreement with the U.S. Postal Service. That tentative agreement included wage increases and an anti-discrimination clause. The union represents about 90,000 postal workers, and with more than 63,000 voting to reject that offer, the union says it now plans to continue its negotiations with the Postal Service within the next 5 days.
And on Monday, President Donald Trump signed an executive order instructing the country to explore creating what's called a sovereign wealth fund. Essentially, sovereign wealth funds are supposed to help countries invest surplus funds in projects that help the nation. They also can put money towards buying government stakes in companies. Trump is suggesting the fund could be part of the finance help if they decide to purchase TikTok.
Well, 2 years after a disastrous train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio, J.D. Vance now returning to his home state, addressing people who now say that they feel like they've been forgotten.
On February 3rd, 2023, an equipment failure caused a Norfolk Southern train carrying toxic material to skid off the tracks, which sent more than 1 million pounds of toxic chemicals into the soil, water, and air. Now, the disaster was made worse when 3 days later after the crash, cleanup officials decided to ignite 5 train cars filled with toxic chloride out of concern that the cars could explode unexpectedly. Investigators later determined that detonating these cars was unnecessary. Norfolk Southern eventually settled with the community for $600 million, a total many residents say doesn't go far enough to serve as a punishment for a company that makes $12 billion in profits each and every year.
Well, Vance visited the small community right near that crash site that he used to represent as a senator. He was along with President Donald Trump's newly confirmed head of the Environmental Protection Agency, Lee Zeldin. Vance says that he wants the community to know that they will not be left behind nor forgotten. He also promised to finish the necessary cleanup and build a better and stronger community.
We know that a lot of local businesses and a lot of local people lost a lot when that train disaster happened a couple of years ago. We are committed not just to finishing the environmental side of the cleanup, but hopefully seeing East Palestine build back better and stronger and more prosperous than it was before this disaster happened in the first place.
Now, this past week, an attorney filed a lawsuit on behalf of around 750 East Palestine residents, alleging that the first death seemingly connected to the crash. Now, the suit does not provide details, but alleges that a 1-year-old baby died in the aftermath. At least 9 other lawsuits were filed against Norfolk Southern in the past week.
Good morning, everybody. 6:17 on a Tuesday morning as we look out over Holland. We may have some breaks in the cloud cover as we go through the day and see some partial sunshine. The nice thing about today, it's kind of a dry and quiet day. I can't rule out a flake or a flurry, but generally speaking, we're in pretty good shape here weather-wise. Winter mix. Some freezing rain, light freezing rain probably coming in tomorrow. We may start as a burst of some light snow in the mid to late afternoon and then changing over, transition to some light freezing rain Wednesday evening and Wednesday night, and then that should be pulling away around daybreak by Thursday. But we think the most logical situation is for the Thursday morning commute to probably be impacted the most. I don't have anything on radar now. We are dry. Temperatures are in the 20s out there in most areas, except at the lakeshore with a little wind off the lake there. We've got temperatures at 30 degrees or better. As we look at our satellite radar combined here over the last 6 hours, we are breaking some holes in that cloud cover. I don't think it's going to be a perfectly blue sky, but some partial sunshine from time to time today is certainly possible. We'll call it partly sunny to mostly cloudy, a little bit chilly, a little bit below normal, probably the mid to upper 20s for high temperatures with a northwest to northerly wind at about 5 to 15 miles per hour. High pressures off to our north and west. That'll kind of build in here and keep things quiet, maybe poke a few holes in the cloud cover as we go through the day as well. Overnight, we've got mostly cloudy skies. And then we'll start tomorrow on a dry note. But as we get into the mid to late afternoon hours, we may see a small strip of some snow moving in here. This is at 6 p.m. And then watch what happens as we go through Wednesday evening and Wednesday night. You'll see the pink. That's the chance of some light freezing rain that's going to be coming on through the area. This does not look like a ice storm, although we may see a light glaze, maybe a few hundredths of an inch, up to a tenth of an inch, maybe 2/10 of an inch across our southern counties. It doesn't take much to really ice up or glaze up the roadways, but at least it doesn't look like we're talking about an ice storm. Most of that precip is going to be pulling away here by Thursday daybreak. It turns windy throughout the day on Thursday. Temperatures will be in the mid to upper 30s, and we may actually see some sunshine late in the day. What about the future ice? This is what we're looking at for ice accumulation. Probably a few hundredths of an inch, literally a glaze of ice along and north of the I-96 corridor and just south of there. But as you get along the I-94 corridor and point southward, anywhere from a tenth to 2/10 of an inch of ice. So we'll probably see winter weather advisories issued for this tomorrow. But again, it doesn't look like an ice storm, and that certainly is good news. And with snow, doesn't look like much snow either. Probably less than an inch of accumulation of snow across most of the area. And this will be Wednesday evening, Wednesday night going into Thursday. That's reflected in our 7-day forecast. Thursday, or Wednesday, I should say, high temperatures around 30 degrees. That system is pulling out of here by daybreak on Thursday. We're 36 on Thursday with the winds picking up throughout the day, maybe some late day clearing. 27 quiet on Friday. And then on Saturday, another similar system is going to come in here. Maybe a burst of some snow showers with perhaps some freezing rain is possible Saturday afternoon and evening. And then we're back into the 20s for Sunday and Monday of next week. That's weather. It's 6:20.
All right, thanks a lot for that, Kevin. Coming up next, the Detroit Pistons heating up midway through the season, but a matchup against the Hawks takes it down to the buzzer. We've got your sports with Thomas Cook. Highlights include this nail-biting buzzer beater at the end. We've got that and more coming up.
The Pistons have been fun this year. It's been a long time since we could say that. Coming into last night, Detroit was the 7th seed in the Eastern Conference, the top team in the play-in tournament. Pistons at home last night taking on the Hawks right to the fourth quarter, right to the good action. Pistons down 7 in need of a bucket. Cade Cunningham, a 30-piece last night. Two-possession ball game with under 4 minutes to go. Tobias Harris forces a steal. 2-on-1 fast break. Asar Thompson going up top and getting it. Pistons down 124-122. Detroit would then take the lead. Tobias Harris, free throw line jumper, gets it to go. LCA had some juice last night. Fans having a good time. Shot clock and game clock separated by a second. Trae Young, step back, moonball, ball game. Tough way to lose. Pistons fall 132-130. Whitecaps manager Tony Capicelli is back for the 2025 season. West Michigan was 68-63 a season ago. It's the first time a first-year manager had a winning record since 2017. The Whitecaps had a great second half. West Michigan was 9 games above 500 and had the third best winning percentage in the Midwest League. The Whitecaps start the season on Friday, April 4th at LMCU Ballpark. The Tigers are bringing back Jack Flaherty. The team has agreed to a 2-year contract worth $35 million. The 29-year-old pitched some of his best baseball last year, winning 13 games and posting a 3.17 ERA. The Tigers dealt Flaherty at the deadline to the Dodgers for shortstop Trey Tweeney and Whitecaps catching prospect Tyrone Lorenzo. The Tigers starting rotation is going to be one of the best in the American League. Spring training not too far away. That's a look at your morning sports. I'm Thomas Cook.
All right, Thomas, thanks. 6:25 on your Tuesday, still ahead.
Yeah, some old trends are coming back to give your car a fresh new look. How you can get one of the 3 legacy license plates for your ride coming up
Tongue
next.
twister.
Yeah.
And Muskegon's oldest surviving manufacturer is now aiming actually to get a historic designation. The company says their nearly 125 years of work should earn them some national recognition. Now on Fox 17 Morning News, a lawmaker lawsuit in Lansing. Why Democratic state senators targeting the House Speaker with a new suit. How that results could impact your health care.
And giving your car that retro look when you can get your hands on these legacy license plates and how much they'll cost you.
Being on the National Register would help us to preserve this building for the future.
Muskegon's oldest surviving manufacturer hoping now to secure a national legacy. We'll see their bid to become a historic designation.
You're watching Fox 17 Morning News.
Well, good morning, West Michigan. Thanks for starting your Tuesday with us here at Fox 17. I'm Andy Curtis, filling in for Janice Allen this morning.
And I'm Elliot Grandy. We hope you're having a good start to your Tuesday. Weather-wise, things are pretty chill today. Nothing really crazy. It's more tomorrow and maybe Thursday that could get a little dicey.
I think we're going to see some freezing rain, but I think light freezing rain. It looks like probably just a few hundredths of an inch, maybe across our southern counties up to about 0.2 of an inch. But that system for tomorrow has been trending further to the south with the heavier ice accumulation. So that is great news for us. Good morning, everybody. For our Tuesday, that's today, February 4th, nothing showing up on radar. We've got some holes in the cloud cover out there. Hopefully we see some partial sunshine today, but it is going to be a little bit below normal. High temperatures only end up in the mid to about the upper 20s. That's about where we are right now, except we're about 30 degrees or better at the immediate lakeshore. So temperatures really aren't going to move much with a northerly wind today at about 5 to 15 miles per hour. As we look at your Tuesday planner, I'll call it partly sunny. We'll say partly sunny to mostly cloudy skies with highs this afternoon about the upper 20s. Let me show you what's going to be going on for tomorrow. These numbers on this map are the temperatures, and we'll pick this up tomorrow afternoon at noon. There won't be anything going on for your Thursday morning commute, or I should say your Wednesday morning commute. Tomorrow looks fine, but as we go into the afternoon, maybe some snow, and then you can see that pink, very light freezing rain going into Wednesday evening and Wednesday night, but it's already out of here by Thursday morning, and by the afternoon, we're above the freezing mark. It turns windy, might even see some late day sunshine. So we'll look more closely at that system coming in here and what's in store for the rest of the week in just a few minutes. It's 6:31.
All right, thanks a lot for that, Kevin. And as of right now, no real issues on the roads out there. We do have a few accidents just to focus on real quick. We were talking about this at the beginning of the 6 o'clock. Still going on. Doesn't seem to be that big of a problem as far as traffic goes, though. Doesn't seem to be slowing things down too much. Accident M11 28th Street, the westbound lane there. And then this one off the beaten path, kind of a little bit back on one of our side streets, but still crash at 68th Street and Orley Street. Again, they don't seem to be backing up traffic too badly. As you can see, everything's moving smoothly. 196, 96, 131, everybody going where they should be as of right now. So a good start to our Tuesday. We'll keep an eye on that, though, as more cars hit the road. That's your look at traffic. And turning to Lansing now this morning, where State Senate Majority Leader Winnie Brinks and the Michigan Senate have filed a lawsuit against the Michigan House and Republican Speaker Matt Hall.
That suit alleges that he violated the state constitution. So according to court filings, Hall allegedly refuses to send 9 bills from last session passed by both legislative chambers to the governor. That legislation in question lowers health care costs for teachers and first responders, while also improving retirement benefits for corrections officers.
Speaker Hall's gamesmanship is not just disrespectful to the sanctity of our Constitution, it is an outright disservice to the residents of Michigan, the very people he was elected to represent.
Their deliberate obstruction is forcing teachers, police officers, and firefighters into very difficult economic choices.
These officers work grueling hours in incredibly difficult conditions, and yet they receive fewer benefits than other law enforcement professionals. We listened, we worked together, we passed bipartisan legislation to fix this. The bills are ready to go to the governor's desk, ready to bring real relief.
Well, in response to that suit, Greg Manns, a spokesman for Speaker Hall, sent us a statement reading, quote, Speaker Hall is carrying out a thorough, comprehensive legal review of an entirely unprecedented situation to ensure the House acts constitutionally. Sadly, Senator Brinks' inaction on tipped wage and earned sick time legislation is jeopardizing 50,000 families sustaining jobs. She hasn't even read the bills into committee 2 weeks after they passed the House. Majority Leader Brinks was actually asked about the tipped wage and earned sick leave bills on Monday, and here's what she had to say.
We certainly have had a lot of conversations around these bills. You've seen the House move some bills. We have bills introduced. We will continue to have those conversations. We are hearing, of course, from stakeholders on all sides of the issue. Those conversations continue. There's more on that to come.
And again, there are 17 days left before tipped wages would begin to be phased out.
All right, good news. You can order more Michigan Legacy license plates. One is the black Great Lakes state plate that was used from 1979 all the way up to 1983. And the other one, the blue Great Lakes plate, which was used from the mid-'80s to 2007. And hey, surprise, a third one, an updated 1967 plate will only be available next year to celebrate the semi-quincentennial anniversary of the United States. For the first-time plate purchase, that'll cost you $50 plus another $5 fee. But if you're doing plate renewals, it will only cost you $10.
A long-standing West Michigan company is now seeking a special historic designation after being in business for more than a century. So this morning, Fox 17's Jack Carone taking us inside Muskegon's C.W. Marsh and showing their nearly 125 years of service.
C.W. Marsh, Muskegon's oldest surviving manufacturer, is turning 125 years old this year. To mark more than a century of service, the long-standing company is seeking a historic designation.
It's the history, and I think culturally we've lost sight of what history means. So we want this preserved.
C.W. Marsh started in the year 1900. It's safe to say legacy is a huge part of the company's longevity.
First time I walked in here, I was 19.
Over its 125 years, the company has provided
water mains that were put into cities back in the 20s and 30s. We made leather that sealed them water mains.
Add to that list hydraulic equipment and seals for telescopes.
He was making seals in his kitchen and then in his garage and moved into here in 1907.
Dan Werwine is a fifth-generation owner. His great-great-grandfather, Charles Marsh, was the founder.
Charlie Marsh actually funded this company through the community. A lot of his friends, family, were stockholders in the original company.
For more than a century, the world has rapidly changed around C.W. Marsh. Some companies forced to reinvent themselves. Others out of business. C.W. Marsh, amazingly, still doing what it's always done since the dawn of its existence, while continuing to add new and unique clients.
We got a contact about 6 weeks ago from a company that's rebuilding the valve actuators for the Hoover Dam.
That's right, the Hoover Dam, packed right in that box.
Everything works out well. They got about 17 to 20 actuators that will be filling product for.
As this company celebrates this milestone, Dave and Dan are proud to continue Charles Marsh's vision. They're hoping the company's commitment will earn it some national recognition.
Having the National Register, or being on the National Register, would help us to preserve this building for the future.
C.W. Marsh entered its submission for the National Registry of Historical Places last year. They'll receive word on their status by the end of May. Reporting in studio, Jack Carone, Fox 17 News.
All right. Thanks a lot for that, Jack. The time is now 6:37 and still ahead.
Yeah, President Trump now designating billionaire Elon Musk as a special government employee. We're going to break down what that could mean for his role in our federal government. Hey, let's get to our top stories right now. Tariffs against America's closest trading partners have now been paused for at least 30 days. Comes after hitting separate deals with President Trump. Canada and Mexico have both agreed to increase security of their borders with America, while the U.S. has promised to crack down on firearms illegally transported into Mexico. 10% tariffs against China, though, did go into effect last night. China has promised to respond with tariffs of its own.
And the FBI's acting director is facing a deadline today to respond to the Department of Justice demanding to share information about Bureau employees who worked cases involving January 6th. And that's causing some concern among employees who think the Trump administration wants anyone involved to be fired. Now, the director is reportedly considering multiple options for his response. He could give them no information and say he is responsible for all Bureau employees. He may also provide the names of only senior executives, or he could hand over a detailed list of everyone involved.
Southern fast food staple Waffle House is adding an egg surcharge amid higher prices, so customers will now have to pay 50 cents more per egg at the restaurant chain. Waffle House says the surcharge is only in place until egg prices come down. Egg prices have soared amid a shortage following a bird flu outbreak.
Well, the world's richest man has a new title to boast. Elon Musk has now been named as a special government employee, which subjects him to less strict rules about ethics and financial disclosures than other government employees. He has been granted an office inside the White House to oversee a team from the Department of Government Efficiency, a new department Trump formed on day one in office to reduce the size of government. Musk was not elected to this role, but financed a large portion of President Trump's 2024 campaign. Democratic lawmakers are sharing some concerns about the new Department of Government Efficiency, accusing it of, quote, unlawful meddling in the Treasury Department's payment systems.
And this comes after employees with U.S. aid were denied entry to their jobs, all because they say they refused to hand over classified information to Elon Musk's team.
I am exceptionally upset about U.S. aid. I lived in a refugee camp for 4 years as a child surviving civil war. It is the essential programs that U.S. aid provided that kept my family and I fed and safe.
U.S. aid is in charge of offering American humanitarian aid around the globe. The agency has an annual budget of about $30 billion and employs roughly 10,000 people, though currently it's unclear how many of them actually still have jobs. Musk has vowed to use his department to cut back on what he calls unnecessary spending. Senate Democrats say that they do not agree with targeting a humanitarian aid organization and are now calling on the federal government to revoke the agency's access to the Treasury payment system.
Donald Trump gave DOJ access to America's personal tax refund data. He gave DOJ access to people's Medicare and Medicaid benefits, disability payment data, veteran benefit data. Worst of all, we don't know what DOJ intends to do with this information. If you want to know how an unelected shadow government operates, look no further than DOJ.
Trump's Secretary of State Marco Rubio has stated that he is now the acting director of U.S. aid. He says foreign aid programs offering life-saving assistance, including medicine, medical services, food, and shelter, would be exempt from the aid freeze. He didn't, though, clarify what programs would still be eligible for those cuts.
Welcome to a Tuesday, everybody. As we start with our live Doppler radar, we are dry out there, kind of dry and quiet today. No problems to be seen. We do have some holes in the cloud cover, so we should see some partial sunshine today. So we'll call it partly sunny to mostly cloudy. Temperatures are in the low to mid 20s across our northern counties. We are 23 in Cedar Springs, 24.